everyone, Cat and Lil Man here. Yes, you gonna, you gonna be sweet today, or are you done being a butt? Mm-hmm. You done being a butt? You ready for some kisses and cuddles? We just got done with some sprints and some really goofy, inappropriate chats during the sprints with the awesome Noah and the rest of the Chaos Gremlin crew. Mm-hmm. Yes, we did. And this little one and his big little sister were cussing out, Nala and fluffy knockoff Nala and trying to pick on the birds and the squirrels. Mm-hmm. Y'all were being pampered bullies and getting in trouble for picking on the poor babies that live out in the cold. Because it's a warm day today, but it's still hovering around freezing. It's just, you know, not well below freezing for a change. So, it's Monday, or we're gonna pretend it's Monday because that's when this is going up, and I'm gonna put a spell on you with some grim tales. And I checked, this is much shorter than last week's redonkulously long tale. It's got a bit of a page count, but we're not looking at, 15 pages like the last one. So, this one shouldn't be too bad. As usual, it's one that I do not know. So, we're gonna have some fun with it. And hopefully, it'll be a good one. And Lil Man is off to go lick his paw on the pillow and think that he's sneaky or mess with his, little brother because JB's in there having a nap. Big girl's getting ready to take a nap in her chair. So you woke me up this morning for treats and then follow me around for breakfast. And he's like, all right, I ate. I've cussed out everything outside this house. It's time, Mama. Her little eyes are closing. See? It's her sleepy cinnamon roll. Though usually she will do that in the corner, but Lil Man was standing here, so we'll see if we get any, can't quite sleep cutesy visitors. And in the meantime, we will get into it and hope the doggies that are in the stories, if they're there, are nice. There once was a village where all the farmers were rich except one who was poor, and he was called Little Farmer. Heck, they're trying to make Little bad, but we're fun-sized and adorable. Don't be hating on little folks. The rich farmer does sound like an oxymoron these days. He did not even have a cow, much less the money to buy one. Aw, that's the whole point of being a farmer. You get to snuggle the cows. And then you have to turn into a vegetarian because, then you have to name them and then they're pets. And you can't eat your pets. So, yeah, I can't have a farm. Because I'd be having to snuggle the little Highland cows that I want. Since he and his wife wanted to own one, he said to her one day, listen, I have a good idea. We'll ask our cousin the carpenter to make a calf out of wood and then paint it brown so that it will look like all the other cows. In time, it's bound to get big and become a cow. Does he not know where, living things come from? I mean, I know education's getting kind of sketchy, but wow. His wife liked the idea, and their cousins and carpenter, their cousin the carpenter, took his plane and saw and built a perfect looking calf. Then he painted it brown and lowered its head to make it seem like the calf was eating. When the cows were driven out to pasture the next morning, Little Farmer called the cowherd to him and said, look, I've got a little calf here, but it's still quite small and needs to be carried. All right, said the cowherd. Then he lifted it in his arms and carried it to the pasture. There he put it down on the grass, and the little calf just stayed at the same spot as if it were eating. It'll soon be running around by itself, said the cowherd. Just look at how it won't stop eating. Okay, so they're all a little dumb here. Nice. In the evening, when he wanted to drive the herd back home, he said to the calf, if you can stand there and eat your fill, then you can also walk back on your own four legs. I don't feel like carrying you in my arms, Cat. Meanwhile, Little Farmer stood in front of his door waiting for his little calf. When the cowherd drove the cows through the village and the little calf was missing, he asked where it was. It's still standing and eating in the pasture, said the cowherd. It didn't want to stop and come with me. My God, said the little farmer, I've got to have my calf back. Then they went back to the meadow together, but someone had stolen the calf and it was gone. It must have gone astray, said the cowherd. Don't give me that story, said the little farmer, and he took the cowherd to the mayor, who decided that the cowherd was negligent and ordered him to give the little farmer a cow to replace the missing calf. Hmm. Maybe he was actually sneaky the whole time and taking advantage of someone that was dumb enough to confuse wood for a living snuggly thing. Let's see. Now Little Farmer and his wife had the cow that they had longed for in the past. They were exceedingly happy, but they had no fodder and could not give it anything to eat. You gotta feed your food before it becomes food. They soon had to slaughter it and salted the meat so it would keep. Then Little Farmer took the cowhide to the city where he intended to sell it and buy a new calf with the profit. How are you gonna have profit when you starved the little thing and offed it when it was still too tiny to be much? On the way, he passed a mill where a raven was sitting with broken wings. Out of pity for the bird, he picked it up and wrapped it in the hide. Just then, the weather became bad and a storm arose with wind and rain. Since he could not continue on his way, he stopped at the mill and tucked in the little man. Okay. The blanket, it is moving. Just then the weather became bad and a storm arose with wind and rain. Since he could not continue on his way, he stopped at the mill where he requested lodging. The miller's wife was alone at the house and said to the little farmer, lie down on the straw over there, and she gave him bread and cheese. Little farmer ate the food and lay down with the cowhide next to him. Now the miller's wife thought, I'm sure he's asleep since he was so tired. Soon the priest arrived, and the miller's wife welcomed him warmly. My husband's away, she said, so let's treat ourselves to a feast. Little farmer's ears perked when he heard her talking about a feast. He was very disturbed that she had made him put up with bread and cheese. You're living off somebody, and you got cheese and bread. Those are delicious. Then the miller's wife brought out four different things: a roast, a salad, a cake, and some wine. As they were about to sit down and eat, there was a knock at the door. Oh God, it's my husband! Is she creeping with the priest? And priest be a little sketch. She quickly hid the roast in the tile stove, the wine under the pillow, the salad on the bed. I know there's a saying about tossing the salad, but I don't think it's supposed to be literal salad. And the cake under the bed. Well, I mean, if you're not supposed to have it, I guess that is your shame spot. And the priest in the hallway cupboard. Then she let her husband in and said, thank God you're here again. There's some weather outside. You'd think that the world were coming to an end. The miller saw a little farmer lying on the straw and asked, what's that fella doing over there? Ah, said his wife, the poor fellow came here in the storm and rain and asked for shelter. So I gave him some bread and cheese and showed him to that place on the straw. Well, I've got no objection, said the husband, but give me something to eat and be quick about it. There's nothing but bread and cheese, said the wife. I'll eat anything, answered the husband, even if it's just bread and cheese. Again, why y'all hating on bread and cheese? Unless it's, bad cheese. You can't just eat hunks of blue cheese. That's strictly for hot wings. Come over here and eat a little more with me. Yeah, he glanced over and called to little farmer. Little Farmer did not have to be asked twice, but got up and joined the miller in his meal. Afterward, the miller noticed the cowhide wrapped around the raven lying on the floor, and he asked, "What have you got there?" "I've got a fortune teller that's wrapped up inside," answered Little Farmer. "Can he predict my future?" asked the miller. "Why not?" responded Little Farmer. "However, he only predicts four things, and the fifth he keeps to himself." The miller was curious and said, "Let him predict my future." So Little Farmer pressed the raven's head so that it cawed, "Kurr, kurr." "What did he say?" asked the miller. "His first prediction is that there's wine under the pillow," Little Farmer answered. "I think I like this guy." "Good heavens!" exclaimed the miller, who went over and found the wine. "Go on," he said. Little Farmer made the raven caw again and said, "His second prediction is that there's a roast in the tile stove." "This ain't gonna go well for someone." "Good heavens!" exclaimed the miller, who went over and found the roast. Little Farmer made the raven call once more and said, "His third prediction is that there's a salad on the bed." "Good heavens!" exclaimed the miller, who went over and found the salad. Finally, Little Farmer pressed the raven's head one more time so that it cawed and said, "His fourth prediction is that there's cake under the bed." "Good heavens!" exclaimed the miller, who went over and found the cake. Now the two of them sat down at the table, but the miller's wife was frightened to death. So she went to bed and took all the keys with her. The miller wanted to know the fifth prediction, but Little Farmer said, "First, let's eat these four things in peace, for the fifth is something awful." I think I know what the fifth one is. So they ate, and afterward they bargained over how much money the miller should pay Little Farmer for the fifth prediction. Finally, they agreed on 300, tailors. The Little Farmer pressed the raven's head one more time so that it cawed loudly. "What did he say?" asked the miller. "He said the devil's hiding in the hallway cupboard outside," replied the Little Farmer. "I want the devil out of here at once," said the miller, and he unlocked the front door. The wife was forced to turn over the keys, and Little Farmer opened the cupboard. Then the priest ran out as fast as he could, and the miller exclaimed, "It's true! I saw the black scoundrel with my own eyes." Has he not met the town priest? Yeah, he only meets with the women. At dawn the next morning, Little Farmer made off with his 300 tailors. When he returned home, his affairs began to show gradual improvement. He built himself a charming house, and the farmer said, "Little Farmer's surely been to that land where golden snow falls and where people take home money by the shovelful." He did all that with only 300 bucks? Those were some good times. So Little Farmer was summoned by the mayor in order to reveal where he had gotten his wealth. "I sold my cowhide in the city for 300 tailors," he said. When the farmers heard that, they all wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. They ran home, slaughtered all their cows, then skinned them in order to sell them in the city at a great profit. I mean, I know, don't get me wrong, I love me a good burger or steak, but you're that is not what butt heads. "My maid must go first," the mayor declared. However, when she got to the city, the merchant gave her only 3 tailors for a cowhide, and when the rest of them came, he did not give them even that much. I swear, I always start reading these, and it's my nap time. I'll blame the pups. They're both sleeping now. They're letting JB be on guard, and I don't think he's a very good guard kitty. "What am I supposed to do with all these cowhides?" he asked. Now, the farmers were furious that Little Farmer had pulled the wool over their eyes. Maybe they should have gotten a sheep. And they wanted revenge. So they went to the mayor and accused the farmer of fraud. The innocent little farmer was unanimously sentenced to death by a jury and was to be rolled into the water in a barrel full of holes. Well, that's a little rude. Little Farmer was led out to the water, and a priest was brought to read him the last rites. All the others had to leave, and Little Farmer looked at the priest. He recognized the man who had been with the miller's wife. "Since I set you free from the cupboard, you can set me free from the barrel." Just at that moment, the shepherd came by with his flock of sheep, and Little Farmer happened to know that for a long time this man had wanted to become mayor. Therefore, Little Farmer screamed with all his might, "No, I won't do it! Even if the whole world wants it, I won't do it!" When the shepherd heard the screams, he went over and asked, "What's going on? What won't you do?" "They want to make me mayor," said the little farmer, "providing that I get into this barrel, but I won't do it." "If that's all that it takes to become mayor," said the shepherd, "I'll get in right away." He's gonna, how is he gonna pull that on the shepherd that he already, basically robbed? He might be a little crooked. "If you get in," said the little farmer, "they'll make you mayor for sure." The shepherd was happy to comply and got inside. Then the little farmer slammed the lid down, took the shepherd's flock, and drove it away. Meanwhile, the priest went to the villagers and said he had read the last rites. They then went and rolled the barrel toward the water. When the barrel began to roll, the shepherd cried out, "I'll gladly be mayor." "Well, one's crooked enough to be one, and one is dumb enough to be one." They believed it was no one else but Little Farmer, screaming and said, "We believe you, but first we want you to look around down there." And they rolled the barrel into the water. Then the farmers went home, and when they returned to the village, Little Farmer came along in good spirits, calmly driving a flock of sheep. The farmers were astonished and said, "Little Farmer, where are you coming from? Are you coming from the water?" "Of course," he answered. "I sank deep down into the water until I reached the bottom. Then I kicked the lid off the barrel and crawled out. There were beautiful meadows with lots of sheep grazing on them. So I brought back a flock of them with me." "Are there any more left?" the farmers asked. "Oh, yes," said Little Farmer. "More than you could possibly use." So the farmers decided to fetch some sheep too. Each one a flock, and the mayor declared, "I'm going first." They all went down to the water together, and just then there happened to be in the sky the small flocks of clouds that are called little fleece. They were reflected in the water, and the farmers exclaimed, "We can already see the fleece of the sheep down below." The mayor pushed to the front and announced, "I'll dive down first and look around. If everything looks all right, I'll call you." So he jumped into the water, and there was a big splash. It sounded as if he had yelled, "Rush!" and the whole group of farmers plunged into the water after him. Thus the entire village was wiped out, and since Little Farmer was the sole survivor and heir, he became a rich man. So being crooked and, a little devious, it worked out. I gotta say, I kind of expected that, but I kind of didn't. I mean, he started off pretty freaking stupid, and somehow he was smart enough to be, a good crook. And, well, at least a successful one. So, hopefully, y'all enjoyed that, and I will see you soon. Bye. Happy reading.